Alright guys, I'm back with part 2 of my texture painting intensive. First thing I'll do is remove the timeline. Next thing I'll do is turn on screencast keys. Actually, I need to make it where it shows this, where this is enabled every time. And inset polygon, and where is there used to be one called mesh tools that I noticed I don't have anymore. I'll take care of that later. Alright, so this tutorial is more about creating normal map snaps. So we'll just delete everything in the scene, go in, add a plane, scale it, Alt A, apply to scale, so everything appears back to 1, and we'll call this low. If I could spell, alright. And we'll just make a new layout real quick and just remove all of that and bring in a UV image editor. Then choose unwrap, new texture. We'll just call this normal stamp. Make it UV test grid, and we'll call this normal stamp. Save it. F3, Shift S. Normal stamp. Alright, so this one will probably be a little short, might be long, who knows. Alright, so we're just going to start off adding a circle. Make sure it's off of the surface. And we're just going to go in and make like some mechanical inserts, like as if you would see like on a robot or something. So this is just a basic one. We'll merge center. T smooth. Fix the normals, and there's our first one. So we're just going to make quite a few of these puppies. And I'll just create a new circle, put my origin to geometry with Control Shift C. Forgot to turn this on again. Blender appears to be crashing. Blender appears. Alright, so Blender still does this. No worries. We didn't get very far. So we'll just bring it back up again. Alright, so we're back to where we left off. So I'll go ahead and turn on Start Display, change the mouse to an icon, change the font to green, and maybe raise the size to 35. Alright, so we have our plane. We'll go ahead and just put in a circle. And we'll just duplicate it. And center the plane underneath it. So this first one, we'll just make something fairly basic. W, we'll just choose smooth, well, shade smooth. And there's our first one. We'll go over to our next one, scale it in, and this is just me extruding. There's not really a whole lot to it, but there I am using the inset. W, shade smooth, Control N, flip the normals. Put in a loop to sharpen it up a little. For this one, switch back to vertex mode. We'll save it. As you can see, Blender is still the same, crashing all the time, but it's getting better, much better, especially compared to the 2.58 days of it. And we'll merge. W, shade smooth, flip normals, and for this one, we'll put a loop here. We'll select the faces, change this to individual origins, bring up our T panel, choose extrude, and now we can scale our faces in and all of that. We'll put a couple of loops to sharpen it up. Alright, now under this one, we'll make this layer with raised ones. Now, I'm just doing a quick version of this. I'll show y'all what I did after spinning. Now, the inset add-on is not perfect. It still has some issues at times that I don't know why, but it still is a fantastic add-on. One of my favorites that I've ever seen out of, besides Mesh Tools. Mesh Tools I think is also very good. And so basically you just will continue making these until you have a whole bunch of variants. So I'm going to pause the recorder and just make them real quick. Alright, so I'm going to turn the recorder back on for this particular one. So I'm just removing all the vertices except for about 5. And then I'm Alt G to put it back in the center. I'm going to come out of local mode, go back in local mode. Actually, I don't want to go back to that just yet. Go back to default layout, take this back into local mode. After going back to default, we're going to add an empty. Alt G, put that back in the origin. And we're just going to turn on an array for this one. Object offset EM brings up the empty, and if we rotate on the Z, we see that the number we're looking for is about 120. So rotate 120, hide the empty, and now we have this merge first last, and Shift C, put the cursor in the center, press period to make the origin the cursor, and we'll scale it. We'll scale it back out, scale it in again. And scale this back in. And we'll hide one so we can make a variant of this. Smooth. Inset extrude. Alright, so we have this nice one. Alright, now from here you probably want to apply the array, turn on subsurfaceability, and we're just going to go into edge mode and just close this stuff up with quads. Alright, so we'll move this one down here. Press numpad press comma to put it back where it's supposed to be, and we'll just add that one to the collection. Alt H, and we still got this one, so we'll duplicate it, hide it, and we'll just go through and just make a modified version of it. Alright, put a couple of loops in there. Alright, and this one looks about the same as the old one. So we probably want to extrude some faces down. And we'll apply the array. We'll come out into object mode, Control-Shift-S, Control-Shift-S, Shift-R. Alright, so that'll do. Alright, and now for the final one, we'll just create a generic one. Alright, and so there we go. Now we have all of our little insets created. Now, the easiest way to do this is to, from here, just press B, select all, unselect the empty. We'll unselect that. Alright. We'll delete the empty. We'll Alt-H, unhide, delete that. Rehide the plane. Select all. Control-J. We'll give them a subdivide level of 2. We'll look at them in textured mode. And right here we see that these all need their normals flipped. If the normals are not flipped, then you will have some issues. So you want to make sure that from the top the normals are all facing, and easiest way to do that is just look underneath, really. So now Alt-H, unhide, we'll select this, we'll select the plane, we'll control up, control right back to our alternate layout, and first we'll select these, we'll select the plane. Actually, we don't need this screen just yet. I don't even know why I created that layout. Sorry, trying to be all efficient, probably just making this more confusing. No worries. And we'll go under bake, choose normals, and select it to active, and we'll just bake. How does it come out? Just like that. So we'll F3, save that. We'll call this normal stamp. Sometimes I save an extra one. I've just had some weird things happen where I've just lost texture maps and stuff like that. So here we go, and that's pretty much it. So we'll just save this file, and we'll open our example 2, which is this. Now this is the head I've been working on recently. Layer 1 is the head, layer 2 is the pink part of the eyes, eyeballs, eyelashes, the mouth bag, and the teeth. So, and of course all the lighting. Now the lighting is on layer 1, 2, and on layer 3. While I was waiting on the first tutorial to upload, I just decided I was going to take this head and just see what I could do with it, and I came up with this. So this is what we're going to be using for the example. Now, one of the things about this that I'll let you know off the bat is that normal mapping using this method does not work well using the mirror. If you use a mirror modifier and stamp on these little insets on different sides, it will look silly, unfortunately, because of it being mirrored and lighting information, blah blah blah, but just take my word for it, won't work. So we'll go ahead and here I'm going to save my file, turn on start display, watch Blender crash. Alright, Blender crashed. We'll open it back up, go on a female, turn this on. So yes, it appears I have to, now it's telling me it's crashing. I already know, thanks. And we'll just save it like that. So the first thing we'll do is apply the mirror. Now this thing does not have any UVs, so first thing we'll do is unwrap. And we have a mess. We have a big mess. Ouch. Alright, maybe there's a better way. Smart UV project. We could use this method for unwrapping, but wow, there must be a better way. Alright, so let's just try this all from the top. We'll go here, cut here. Actually, it should not have any problems unwrapping. Smart UV project. Alright, so this could become a UV unwrapping tutorial, but we will avoid that and just stick with this as our UV projection, which is awful. But we'll just press P to lock it down. We'll select new and call this Mac Normal 2048. Actually, tutorial reasons, we'll just make it 1024. Shift tab, go back. And if we look at it, it's not too horrible, I guess. Kinda is. We'll F3, save this as Mac Normals. Save as image, and we'll select this and just do like just a basic bake. Bake normals, bake. What happened here? Alright, so now the normals are baked out. However, some faces just don't even show having a texture. And let's see why that is. It says that this face is here. Alright, a little unusual, but whatever. We will also drag and drop our stamps we created into here. We will choose to edit externally, which will make it pop up in the GIMP. We will choose this right here, Mac Normals. We'll choose edit externally, which will also make this pop up into GIMP. Looks like we didn't save it. We'll save it as F3, save as image. Now edit externally. Alright, so first thing we need to do is basically, alright, the first thing I'm going to do is press O, sample this color, go over here, new layer, OK. I believe Shift O, well, which is the bucket? Looks like it's Shift B, whatever. We'll just smear it all, paint everything, choose overwrite, and we'll choose reload image, and now everything's looking legitimate. Now, right now, everything is mapped to color, or actually, there's not even a texture. We'll just call this mecha, and we'll go over here under UV, change this to image, open, Mac normals, give it the only UV map showing, and you see in the view mode is still orange. If we go, still purple, sorry. If we go and change to GLSL, now it shows our model with the normal map applied. We'll go down to subsurf level 1 so it can be usable in the viewport. I'm just going to split this window out halfway. Come on, Blender. And we'll remove that. And we'll remove that. So we're going to go into texture paint. And from here, let's see, if we choose shadeless, it won't work out well. Alright, so the first thing we'll do is test our inserts. So let's see, the camera's looking at it from this side, so we'll get it on this side, press T and use our good friend here, and hit quick edit, and now we have our head. We'll make a new layer, and we'll just go here, use our circle select tool, and I like this one. Choose copy, paste as new brush, and Control Shift A, B, we'll just press the bracket to scale this up, and now you see I can just paint it, and we drag up the spacing. We can control how far it's spaced, but the joy of it is going over to this and just be able to stamp these in there. And if we turn the layer off, overwrite. Now look at these are highly pixelated. I think that is not good at all, but we'll go back to Blender, we'll choose apply, and we'll come out of texture paint into object mode and out of local mode, and now we have our insets in here, but they do look awful, right? Alright, yes they do. So that's what they look like on the map. We'll just choose reload image. Let's try that again. Let's go into local mode, texture paint, and this time we're going to zoom in a bit, and we're going to up this to 1024 and 1024 and choose quick edit. Oh yeah, it wants me to name my brush. We'll just call it Tut Stamp 1. And now this is a brush in GIMP. Like, that's how easy it is, which is one of the reasons that I like this program. Now, we'll just hold the bracket, scale up our brush. Actually, switch over to paintbrush. Then we'll just put one there. We'll bring down the size of our brush to something a little more smaller, and we'll just put some stamps here, and go back over to Blender, apply, see what happens if you forget to turn off the layer, Shift C, undo, go over here, turn this layer off, export, and then apply. Now the reason it does look so bad is mainly because of the way it's been unwrapped. I wish I would have remembered that I hadn't unwrapped it, or else I would have went through and done that. And basically we have all of our little insets here, but that actually looks very bad. And what to do about that? There is no solution. We have to go back and cut patches out of all this. So kind of just went inset extrude crazy on it. So we will reload the image, and I'm also pretty sure that these islands are just not big enough to retain the data, because this is a 1024 by 1024 texture map. So let's see. We will catch it from the front, go into texture paint, and I'm just actually painting on depth here as well, which will show up in a render but not in the actual model. So these are very useful techniques to learn as far as low to high painting. So we'll hit quick edit again, go over into GIMP, turn off this layer, go back to our paintbrush, actually leave it on for now, and we'll choose a different one, like this one. And just make our circle fit. Choose copy, paste as new brush. We'll call this touch stamp 2. And now we'll just go over here, go back to our paintbrush, choose overwrite, go back into Blender. Ouch. Alright, let's see what happens if we make the texture map a little bigger. I was trying to avoid doing it, but whatever. So we'll delete this, make a new map. We'll call this big map, and we'll make it 2048 by 2048, which is the usual size that I use anyways. And we'll just F3, save it as big map, save as image. We'll X, get rid of that, load up big map. So now it's using, or it's supposed to, but because we're in GLSL, we have to actually update it over here as well. Alright, so why is it still showing this blue map? Let's come out of texture paint and discover why this is happening. And the only thing I can think of is if we go under the UVs, And now let's see what happens. Alright, not working, so we'll edit externally, bring it over into GIMP. First thing we'll do is, well, it looks like our paint bucket already has the color, so we'll just paint that in, overwrite, reload image, maybe turn off GLSL for a moment, just turn it to multi-layer. Finally, there we go. Sometimes it can get a little painful to get it to switch over UVs if you're using the same layout sometimes. So we'll just catch it right here, choose quick edit, and there's our character plus new layer. Actually, we'll shrink this one down. Still looking bad. We'll zoom in even closer to right here. Quick edit. There we go. It looks like we'll get a little more detail now. Hold down Control and Scale to zoom in. And there we go. So the resolution that you exported at and the amount of zoom plays quite a role here, as you can see. We'll choose Overwrite, go back to Blender, Apply, and if we go into GLSL and out of Texture Paint, then we see that we have our inserts created here. And you would basically just go through and paint in your screws and bolts and lines and all that stuff. And from there, bake and rebake and all of that. But I just wanted to demonstrate just the basic idea here. If we render it out, it comes out looking alright. And so if we were to, try to paint even more, let's see, we'll go into Texture Paint, choose this area of his forehead, choose Quick Edit, go over here into GIMP, new layer. So I'm sure that you're getting the idea by now. So I'm sorry about all the mistakes I've been making in this one. I promise I did rehearse it. Paste as, new brush. We'll call this Tut Step 3. Go over here. Bring up our size. Choose Overwrite. Go back to Blender. Apply. And you would just keep going until you had this looking the way that you want. But this tutorial has went on for quite a minute, so we will go ahead and leave it off here and come back to texture painting part 3, where I'll basically be going over how I texture painted the head. Now, you always want to make sure you save your image by just pressing F3. because otherwise it will be lost. And that'll do it. See you in a moment.